Let's
Hello,
go.
and welcome back to another episode of Inside Mentors' Minds, where we dive deep into epic humans' minds, find out what got them to where they are today. And today, I'm really excited for this conversation. I've got a brother on the other side of the world. I've seen his work. I absolutely love what he's putting out into the world. I've seen his content. I've seen where he's come from. It's an incredible story, and we share such parallels. Max, welcome to the show, brother.
I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to be here. Thank you very much, Matt. And I'm looking forward to diving in this conversation and seeing where it leads.
Yeah. So for the viewers or the listeners that are coming across you for the first time, do you just want to explain a little bit about who you are and what you do?
100%. So anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Max Hindle. I am a hypnotist and I use hypnosis to help people rewire their mind. And my whole sort of goal and ethos and what I want to achieve is to help people become their own coach so they don't need therapy or coaching. Not saying they shouldn't have it, because I still recommend it, but so they don't need it. That's really my goal, because what's got me through a lot of my past has been me coaching myself
Mhm.
through listening to other people. So I didn't just come up with the answers. Don't get me wrong. I paid a lot of money for seminars, coaches myself, but it's allowed me to now, when things go quote unquote wrong, whether you look at it as wrong or right, it's allowed me to get through things and allowed me to move on. And it's got me to where I am. And that's what I said. I want people to have that ability as well, so that anyone can do it effectively.
Amazing. So for the listeners, Max and I were just catching up before we started the podcast. And I said, let's save this for the podcast because I'm sure there's some listeners out there. So to give you the listeners some context to what we're talking about here, Max has come to Bali in 2018. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been living in Bali now for in between a year and a half and 2 years. So what I was saying to Max is doing just from what it looks like, doing so well for himself in his coaching business and got a wealth of experience. And as if you can tell, if you're listening or sorry, watching this on YouTube, you can see the Zen den that he's created for himself. This guy's
The
on
Zen
one.
Den, I love that. You've named it. You've named it, Matt.
This guy's in the Zen den, so you can tell this guy's on one for sure.
I'm writing that
But
down.
but I was essentially telling him, like, you know, did you experience Bali while you were an entrepreneur? So if you're listening to this podcast or watching this on YouTube, I kind of want to lay a foundation for you and for Max as well. We're going to get into this, but I basically call Bali like a click funnel for epic digital humans. There are so many cool epic humans that are doing things that in their
That's
other
why you're
life.
there, Matt.
I'm trying. You know what? You know what, Max? I say I've earned my first digital stripe here. I've done it once,
That's
but
right.
yeah, it was launching a virtual summit with a gym.
Oh, amazing.
So I earned my first
You're
digital
a
stripe.
veteran.
Yeah. Well, no, not compared to some of these humans here crushing it
Yeah, yeah.
financially and then living like
Amazing.
a crazy life. So one of the things I was saying to Max is, like, if you come here as an entrepreneur or like me, perfect example, an aspiring entrepreneur. I had the biggest digital illiteracy before I came here. I didn't even have an Instagram
Wow.
account before I
Wow.
came to Bali. So what I said was, like, before I come to Bali, I got to get around the influencers, where to go, the land of the influencers, Bali, so
Mm.
that I can understand how the heck you create that lifestyle. Because I've been a nomad, but not digitally. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I just wanted to be a digital nomad so that I could keep this up. Because I keep having to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
do
So you
all
can
these
go everywhere.
jobs. Exactly. And so, Max, do you want to ask the question you asked me offline if you remember it? If not, I can repeat it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, like we were saying, it's something that I want to do. I want to, ideally, my goal is to run retreats out in Bali. So I really want to get out there and sort of, like you said, connect with people, get in the hub of, what was it? Awesome entrepreneurs, or what was it?
Epic humans.
Epic entrepreneurs. That's it.
Yeah,
Epic
epic.
humans. Um, and my question was, how easy is it to actually transition the move out there? Like, what do you need? What do I need? What are the requirements? Because I've had a little look into it, but it's better from someone who actually knows what they're talking about rather than Googling it, especially anyone who's listening.
and I'm on the ground floor. That's something that I've learned with discernment through life. Is like there's one thing to Google, which is really good. I think it takes you a certain level, but you won't know until you're on the ground floor. And oftentimes I've been the guinea pig for
Yeah.
getting people to come places, because I'm like, I'll go be the test. I'll be the beta test. I'll go test it. And then I'll call people up I'm like, yo, you got to get here. This place is epic. Do this, do this, do this, and come here, So
Yeah.
that's a really great question. Why don't I find out what you know first, and then I'll slot in?
Yeah. So all I know at the minute is I know they've sort of changed around some of the visas. So there's things like an e-visa, a KETAS visa. I don't know exactly what they are. I believe a KETAS visa is when you work, you can just work there. But as an entrepreneur, I feel like it's slightly different. I believe you can see. I'm not sure how long you can stay, because I know you don't have to have a visa if you just stay for a month, I believe. And then once you start to prolong it, then you have to work that out. And then I'm not sure how the taxes work either, how that actually works. So yeah, pretty much all I know is about you need a minimum 2K in your bank account, I believe. And you need a visa. That's all I know. But I'm not sure
Okay.
exactly which visa.
Pretty good. You're onto it for sure. You know that it's called a KETAS. So a
Mhm.
KETAS is a working visa where you basically there's two versions of it. There's this thing called a PMA. A
Okay.
PMA is a visa that allows you to be here and have a working business, I believe, for anywhere from 2 to 5 years, and you give your taxes to
Oh,
Bali.
wow.
So this is called a PMA. That means you can
Okay.
hire out Indonesians. So, for
Oh, wow.
example, the people that are owning this villa that I live in, they live in the villa next door. They have a PMA for this business.
Amazing.
So
Okay.
then they
Okay.
give their taxes to Bali, and they also um, uh, can hire. And when you have a PMA, you have to hire 9 Indonesians for one Westerner.
Oh, wow.
So my
Okay.
so my friends that own the gym Nirvana Strength, they're able to hire on Westerners through by bulk having like cleaners and that, because they want to
Got
give
you.
the business to the locals as opposed to the Westerners, right?
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. When I run the retreats, I would much rather, because I know a lady when I went to the Ubud retreat
Yep.
in 2018, absolutely lovely lady. She's a yoga teacher, and I'd love to be able to provide how much I would spend on a Westerner yoga teacher. I'd love to be able to spend that on a Indonesian, so that they're getting what seems like they're getting sort of like an incredible paycheck for their lifestyle and what they do. But also I'm helping them, and then I'd hire things like chefs and stuff like that. So that's interesting actually, and that's really helpful. So I would, if I was running a retreat, the goal that I would do is running it in a villa and then hiring ideally Indonesian people to do what they need to do. But then one part of the retreat that I wanted to do was sort of flip the whole thing on its head, and everyone at the retreat sort of give the day for the people that have done the work as like an
Mm.
act of service as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for example, I'd do the cooking or something like
Sure.
that.
Sure.
And we'd actually sort of flip it on its head, so that, I don't know, I'd feel like that'd be a nice thing to do. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I think that's beautiful. I think that's so cool. With my staff members here, I feel like that's part of what I do with them, is like they kind of like are at the moment a bit stifled at the beginning, because I was just talking to them like they're not just cleaners. I'm talking to them like a
Yeah.
human being, And then
Yeah.
I'm actually coaching one of them now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's just
Wow.
a beautiful thing, because it's like typically speaking, there's all different types of people that come here, but yeah, it's definitely some of the humans that come here don't see them as they look
Mm.
down on them,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they're very, very wonderful people here.
They really are, aren't they?
They absolutely are, and they're really connected to their spirituality. But so to answer your question with your retreat, so that's a PMA. But for you as retreats, I don't think that's something that you would want to do, because for a PMA, the process is quite extensive, and I think you need total cost would be about between 5 to 6 grand. So my friend
Okay.
or my mentor essentially is just going through the process, just went through it, and it's a pretty arduous process.
Okay.
It requires, like, you would have to hire out people to do that. So the next option would be a Kitas, which is like kind of like a working visa. And also there's another one called an investor's visa. So the investor's visa is what typically a lot of the digital nomads are doing. There's a big gray area right now with all of this. As you know, and if the listeners are listening or someone comes across this, like Bali's a third world country. And if you're not familiar with third world countries, they don't really run by the books. So
I know that.
So there's a big gray area with all of this right now. Pretty much the Westerners that are here right now, the digital nomads, make up all the people that are here right now. A good majority of them are working under different visa regulations. But if we're talking by the papers, how many of them are actually accurately going by the paper? The thing, I was just in a meeting before coming on this podcast, and they make it really challenging to do things correctly here.
Really?
Because their law and regulations contradict each other. You can't do this, but then you can do this and this, and then it's like, well, where do I actually do the right thing? Tell me.
Yeah.
And what I've come to realize, where you do the right thing is from your heart.
Yeah. True.
And you go from that and you do the best you can with the actions you have, because first, regulations are changing all the time. There's windows they create. So then you've got different corruptions in the government layers. So then this is corrupt. So then they've created a thing here that you can pay this here that bypasses this regulation. So then this regulation becomes obsolete.
Irrelevant.
And now you've just bypassed it, and you just paid an extra $100 or $300, and you just bypassed that regulation. But then this is still legal.
Yeah.
So the challenge when you research, you can't really research from another country, this stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
Because there's so much misinformation. So really the best part is to come here. And so if you're looking at trying to create it, what the first thing I would say is first have a belief. That's the first thing you need before anything, is have a belief and have faith. Then what you want to do is find a lot of people to support that belief system. Look at how many people are doing it here. Like, you can just type in Bali on Instagram and look at how many. Now, the third thing, when you look at that, don't think they're all doing it and they're all doing it successfully, because that's what I realized when I came here. I was like, wait, it doesn't match. What? Which was humbling, but we're not here to talk about other people in that way. Although I just did that moment. But I catch myself.
It happens.
But so then you come here. Now, right now, the rules are constantly changing, right? So like, you have to prepare yourself to be adaptable. But part of being a digital nomad is becoming adaptable to your situation. So what happens is, like, when I was here during the COVID situation, I was so shocked to see how many people left out of fear, which is understandable. It was a tough situation, and being on a tropical island where there's a virus going around is not really the greatest place, because it's on an island, you can't get away from it. So what happened during that time is, like, a lot of the people left out of fear, and it left the true players here, a lot of them, which was really nice. So it made it easier to network for me. I got to the higher circles a lot quicker than I would have if there's a bunch of people here. But what you have to do when you get here is then also just know to be adaptable. You're going to be adaptable. You know that, like, okay, I don't know if my living situation is going to be here next week, so to speak. That's kind of the conditions you're going to live in. I don't know fully if they're going to say that they're going to up their prices and I got to find another villa. I don't know that. That may happen. I don't know. In 2 months, they may change the regulations and they're going to say you're going to have to fly out.
They could do.
I'm living in those conditions. But
like you said, you're adaptable.
I'm living a fucking great life, and I say that humbly. Like, this is so sick. Like, I'm living in a 4-bedroom villa with my own pool 2 minutes from the beach. That if I was to try to live like this in any of our countries, you know, I would have had to, I'm having to be a multimillionaire to live this lifestyle.
Yeah,
And
yeah, definitely.
I'm living this off of like breadcrumbs, like comparably. And I'm
It's like
not
they say that as soon as you switch your money to Indonesian rupees, you instantly become a millionaire.
millionaire lifestyle. So you know what happened, Max, before I came here? I never got accustomed to butlers. I've never had a
Yeah.
butler in my life, but now I'm used to butlers. My paradigm is shifted. You know, I'm used to humans making me food all the time. I was
Yeah.
never used to this before, but this is the risk to reward. So you live like
True.
that, but you get this, but it's this adaptability. So to answer your question with visas, right now, I've been living on this thing called a social visa. So essentially you pay the similar as you would pay, like, you know how you came in and you got 2 months or a month? I think you got 2 months.
Yeah.
Essentially that, but it just renews every 6 months. Now,
Oh,
typically,
really?
yeah, typically on regular conditions, if you come in on a social visa, you need to leave in 6 months and then come back in.
Yeah.
Typically on
doesn't happen
regular
anymore.
conditions, if you just get the normal visa, you come in 2 months and then you have to leave.
Got you.
But they don't want people to leave right now because the economy's built 75% on tourism.
Wow.
So just gifting out visas. So we've having visa under visa under visa. So my visa right now goes to December, and then beyond December, I don't know. I don't know if we're allowed to stay here still longer, or if it's going to change, or what they're going to do.
You would potentially have to go to Thailand for a day and then come back.
Exactly. Go to Singapore, fly in, fly out. But
and because you're an online entrepreneur, is that allowed with social visas then, versus if I wanted to run the retreats, wouldn't be allowed with a social visa?
So here's where the distinction comes in. This is a really good distinction. Under conditions that you're in, you can work digitally and you're making your money from outside Indonesia. So you're working with whatever regulations that you're making your money from.
Okay. Got
So
you.
your tax system and all that is in the country that you're making money from.
Oh, wow. But a lot of my clients are overseas. So I don't really, so my clientele is all over the world, really. So would I not be paying tax in Indonesia? Would I still be paying tax in the UK?
Yes, and then also I'll let you do your own research and come to your own conclusion. Because I am not an accountant and I'm not able to give advisory advice online on that.
No, I appreciate that.
I'll let you come to your own conclusion on that one. And I'll let you know that there's a lot of people here coming to their own conclusions on that one as well.
Yeah.
Again, you're working in a system that's hard to really like do things in any which way, because the word doing the correct way is completely subjective.
Yeah, true.
But when you got to know you're coming into a gray zone. Just know that when you fly in. But in that gray zone is really wonderful. It's like you're coming here in health and wellness, you know, you're coming here to provide value. You're coming here in good energy. So like in my experience, you hear cases, like I'll give you an example. There's this guy that was running a retreat, like a cacao ceremony or something. And it was right around the time where like the spacing, like you have to be a meter apart from each other and all this stuff. And this guy went on social media and like storied about what he was doing. And everyone was sitting close to each other, wasn't spacing, all this stuff. It went on social media and this guy got tossed out of the country. Because he even though he's doing like a cacao ceremony, but it's because at his facility, he wasn't abiding by the thing, the regulations.
Got you.
But at the same time, my friends own the gym, Nirvana Strength, and they're still posting on social media, but it just, it depends. It's kind of like an energetic thing too, potentially, right? Like, so this is for the listeners here that are interested in Bali, and I don't know if the listeners are going to be fully understand about energy, but I feel, Max, you're in these levels. Bali is, it's said because Bali and Peru are in the two cross sections of the earth chakras.
Interesting.
So that's why manifestation is really powerful here. You can manifest a lot faster here because we're closer to the ether, because it's the cross section of the chakras. That's why this place is really spiritual, and Peru. which is the ayahuasca hub, basically.
That's where I went to Bali, and then Peru was where I did
Perfect.
ayahuasca.
So you're really connected here spiritually. So really, there's like a grace period that Bali wants to check in with you, to check your character and see if you will last and how you do. So the energy here is gonna kind of test you. I've been tested, and that's why I said I earned my digital stripe, because I got through the testing period, but you come with faith, right? Because if you come here, like say for example, you come here and you kick it with me, and you start to actually sip my life a little bit, because you got to sip it while you were here 2 months of it, but like I've been here for 18 or something 20 months now.
You're living a proper lifestyle.
I'm living it, bro. Like I got the links, I know where to go, what to do, who to talk to, kind of thing, and there's still layers to go.
100%.
But like when I got here, I would talk to people like me that I'm in that experience, and I'd be like mind blown.
Exactly.
You're doing it. Like that's what I would feel like. How can I add value to you? I need to learn about what you're doing, because dude, this is so sick. I've traveled the world 10 times. I've been to Las Vegas. I've been to Mexico, Central America, Europe, Fiji, England, all that. But dude, this life is, if you're after the freedom lifestyle, this is something else, man. And like health and wellness, like, like going, like after this, I'm going to go for a walk on the beach.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, man. Living the dream.
Meditate, go to the gym, sauna, ice bath, like good food, cheap food. Everyone's like, but if you know these going into it, right?
Yeah.
You know you're going to go through a bit of it, but if you have faith and trust, in my experience and from my peers that are still doing it here, that's what we all did.
100%.
We came here,
and it's interesting actually what you said about that stuff, and that's where sort of what I'm doing now is actually sort of what's the word, sort of complementing that lifestyle so I live near a beach in the UK. It's nothing like tropical at all, but the way that I vision myself is through going to the beach and doing what I would do as an entrepreneur in Bali, but just doing it in the UK, which naturally then you start to move with that energy, like you said about energy, which then creates opportunities to go to a place like that for us to connect and say, oh, Matt, I'm coming out. Do you want to connect? Do you want to do this? Let's see if we can work together. Let's see if we can chill, do whatever, and do that stuff. And these opportunities, I believe personally, arise from embodying the belief system of I'm already living that life without already living it, if that makes sense.
Bro, I was living this life. I was trying to live this life for the last 5 years. I've been trying to live it for a while, and I should make a caveat. Like I'm not fully at the end yet either, right? Like I still got layers comparably to my peers. I'm financially doing the worst out of, like, if we look at financial numbers, by a long shot. I am out of my network. I am doing so poorly numbers wise compared to my network. So I like to put myself.
You're actually around those people as well.
Yeah,
so you're
exactly. So so they're just pulling me up in their vibration. But I also don't think that value just comes from the numbers you can generate for yourself in your business, 100%. Right? So that's what's nice here is that, Max, I imagine you are, so think about this, imagine this. I'll paint a reality for you if you were to come into the world that I'm around. So let's say a typical day. So you wake up, you meditate, you do some of your breath work, and let's say before you get onto the technology world, you go to the gym.
I go down to the beach.
Okay, you go to the beach. Let's say you go to the beach. You come back, and maybe I won't project a day to you, but I'll say what opportunities are here for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's say you were to go to the gym. You're training next to a guy that does drop shipping for Amazon, who's running a 30-man crew that he's doing potentially anywhere from like 50 to 200K a month. You're training next to a girl who does coaching for whatever, and she's doing X amount of numbers a month for the last 5 years. You now go into the sauna and you get chatting with this person who's this voice over guy for this company that's on Paramount Pictures. So, these types of things start happening, but then you go and you leave and you go to a cafe, and you're at the cafe and you see people working on their laptop, and next thing you know, you get talking, and this person started up they have their own clothing brand and they're selling products all over Europe. So then you come home and you start doing your thing that you're doing. You come back to your business, you get inspired, and then you get a text from someone saying, hey, like, there's this thing tonight. There's this like let's say men's circle. There's this men's circle tonight of high performers that they want to connect. And then you have this thing in your business that you're trying to solve. And then next thing you know, you're connecting with someone. That guy's you just solved the thing that you're looking for. But the challenge is when we are back in our world, let's say like me in Canada, I'm not interacting with too many digital nomads consistently on a daily basis. Plus I'm working against a society that is working 9-to-5 jobs. People don't think 9-to-5s here. So any person you're interacting are just on the assumption that you're on your own life. You're living life on your own terms. So you don't have to work through the like fear-based, like 9-to-5 thinking, that type of stuff. It's already cleared out. That's why I said Bali's a click funnel. You don't come here pretty much, at least in this time where it's not tourist season.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't think your vibration would attract that. I think your vibration would attract like-minded people that you would naturally gravitate to where these types of people hang out. So then you're now in conversations in the hot tub, and I'll give you an example. You're in the conversation in the hot tub that it would have taken you, let's say potentially like 4 network events and one guy's number to get that answer. And you just finished training and you just walked downstairs and went into the hot tub to get that.
That's because I connected with quite a few people when I was in Bali. Like there's still some guy that I know that owns a load of villas out there that I've been speaking to about retreats and stuff like that. And it literally was from doing yoga, jumping in the sauna, having conversations, and that was it. And that's how I actually got interested in ayahuasca. The same guy, I was speaking to him and I connected with him the other day. I was like, oh, I'm actually coming out to Bali again. And he was like, yeah, he's like 100%. He's like, let me know. He's like, let me know if you want to use the villas or whatever. Like you said, you just connect with the type of people you want to connect with, and you're not, and like you said, you're not necessarily like slating anything. You're not saying that people are doing stuff wrong in the 9-to-5, but it's not the type of lifestyle that you want to live. So the answers aren't the same. It's like me talking about hockey. I know nothing about hockey at all. So me talking about it's irrelevant, me talking to someone about it, because it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. But me talking about entrepreneurship or something like that, you're having those right conversations to help you get around the people that you want to be around as well. I mean, you actually connect with people. And I feel like that's one of the biggest things that is sort of a very attractive thing about going out to Bali and connecting with sort of your tribe of people, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I thank you for expressing that. It's a really not slating 9-to-5 people. That's a big distinction. Even if you, like, I think we have in this like spiritual community as well, like slating corporate people and this and that. It's like, hey, if you're doing what you love, that's all that matters, really. If you're enjoying it in this life that I'm living is not for everyone. It really isn't.
100%.
Because there's
some people won't be able to do it.
Your security is online. It's not in the world here, because it can be pulled from you. You know that your world can shift quite drastically if you haven't have your systems in place. And to get 100%. Your systems in place takes time. But you have to be patient. But that's also part of the thrill of living here. Plus, you're interacting with the age demographic here is about from 24 to 38. That's typically the age demographic here.
Yeah. That's quite a big demographic, isn't it?
It is, because each person comes to their development digitally at a different stage of their life. True. But what you can find congruent across the board is a lot of people are into some sort of personal development. as well.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. There's the common ground of that right there, of the conversations that we're gonna have are gonna be about something I'm interested in.
Yes.
Versus in first world countries, the common ground tends to be sports.
Sure.
Like it's not necessarily personal development. And in my experience as well, even so, one of the biggest things I always said to people was join an expensive gym. At the minute, I'm not at a gym. I'm doing like calisthenics workout and stuff like that. I'm learning how to do all that stuff. But I would always say to people, join an expensive gym and network with people. And that's the way that I did it. But the people that you're connecting with aren't necessarily like you said, the digital entrepreneurs. Like I've connected with, and I've got mentors that run like massive energy companies and stuff like that. But belief wise, completely does not believe anything spiritually and thinks I'm crazy for thinking that.
Sure.
And it's hilarious. But we still connected on some level because it was the business side of stuff. And like he said, he was like, I don't believe anything you say there, but I like what you're doing in the business stuff. And I was like, that's one of those things you just got to agree to disagree. And we just sort of had that, but we connected really well.
Hey man, sometimes it's nice to know where someone's at and where their time is. But this is what's cool. So now imagine this. You've got people that are performing on potentially the same level as this energy guy, but then they're into the digital life.
Exactly. So you're getting the results for the sectors that you work in and that you want as well.
Exactly. So it's more poignant. It's more poignant. You're not, when you're talking about, like, you notice how I made a joke about ClickFunnels to you?
Yeah.
And you understand that?
Exactly. Yeah.
I bet you some people miss that are listening
some
to
people
this.
don't even know what ClickFunnels is.
Yeah, exactly. Don't even know what that joke wouldn't be funny. But I know I can make that to you because you're an internet. You know, your business lies on the internet. It's so good to be one though. It creates such a great life if you want.
Our weirdness online.
Yeah. All channeled into one area. So here's what I would advise for you, Max, if you're looking to do what you're wanting to do. First, like I said, have the belief, do all those types of things. Then what you want to do is, like, you can come. I literally was talking to someone 2 days ago who just got into Bali.
Wow.
So Bali's opened up. You can get in here.
Oh, is it easy to get back?
Yeah, you can get back in right now. I can send you the exact information of what you need if you want to come in.
Yeah, no, I'd appreciate that. I'd really appreciate that.
I can connect you to the right person. On top of that, with what you're wanting to do, what you'd want to do is connect with someone that has a Kitas so that you're partnered with them, and then you can start running retreats right away.
Okay, so if they've got a Kitas, I can run a retreat
exactly.
straight away.
You just partner with them and you're under their thing. You work under their visa. So now you can align with someone where, while you're in like the beta testing phase, you're trying to get things up and running. That means you can start and you can run it. You can run out with your retreat. Let's say you got here, you could start running out your retreat in 2 months or less if you connected with if you aligned yourself with the right person.
Yeah.
So now you bypassed visas and you don't even need one.
Wow. What? So I wouldn't actually need one?
Like, you would come in under your own visa. Yeah. So let's say you would fly in under a social visa, which would get you 6 months. Or here's the thing, depending on your investment, like if you have money to spend on an investment to stay here, like right now, I would be under a Kitas if my financial situation would allow it to. But because I'm also paying for my partner as well, then it's a choice. Like, we're doing this together. We're starting up a business together. I don't have that funds. And actually, we went to go do the Kitas, and her passport expired. You need 2 years on your passport to get a Kitas. So her passport's going to run up too much. So if you do want to come, so look at that. Even that tip right there is a big hack.
Yeah. I would have had to search. I wouldn't have even sort of known that. I would have gone to the embassy and found out, you've got to have 2 years. And I'd be like, come back, sort that out, then go back. And it would have been a hassle.
Exactly. So to give you an example, we wanted to get a Kitas that would give us 2 years, fly in, fly out. You can fly in and fly out. But because Mal's visa expires under 2 years, you need 2 years, and hers expired in like 18 months or something. They're like, we can't issue it. Because by the time it rolls out, you'll be invalid. And you only get a Kitas on the exact passport you print on.
Got you. Got you.
So then, go ahead.
Cool. I was going to say, what's the like situation with all the? Is there any restrictions in Bali right now then, or is it pretty open?
So like that's the fallacy or the misinformation, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
people that have been doing volley, like the vets here have been doing volley for some time. They've been flying in and out the whole time.
wow,
They've
wow,
been coming in and out. There's only a period of maybe like 2 months where people weren't like the actual people that know but they've been here already and they knew who to talk to. They know the gray
yeah,
areas. They
yeah,
quarantined in Jakarta, and Jakarta is the
got you.
capital of Indonesia, which is an island over. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
I'll kind of over explain so that if people aren't aware of this when they're listening, right, they keep up with all this.
yeah, yeah.
They quarantined for like anywhere from 5 to 14 days.
You
Um,
still have to do that now?
Potentially,
Okay.
depending on it's kind of like a lottery, right? Like they kind of randomize it a little bit. Again, it's
That's one of the gray areas. They're like, yeah, you
yeah,
can do it.
they just some people have to do it, some people don't. It depends on
Wow.
because it's changing monthly, right? But I'll give you an example. I was talking to a guy in the gym, and he came over from Santa Cruz, California, and it took him, I forget how many hours, and he flew into Jakarta, had to quarantine for 5 days. It cost him $1,000, and then he flew over and he's in.
Wow. Wow.
And he's on a social visa now. So he's got
Okay.
6 months.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Social
And you
visa,
can still work as a nomad, a digital
yeah,
nomad on
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
interesting.
Social
Interesting.
visa costs about, I know it in Balinese money, but I don't know. It's about just over $1 million a month, 1 million rupiah.
A million a month. Okay, that's like
How much is that? You got a currency counselor?
I believe that is because I believe 250,000 is £5, so about $7 or $8 or something like that.
That makes sense.
US
Yep.
dollars, I
Yep.
think. So yeah, all right. So that's about £20 a month. And then do you pay that all up front?
Yeah,
20,
no, so
30 pounds a month.
you would pay your first and last, and then you just pay
Okay,
monthly.
got you. Okay.
You just pay monthly. So right now I've got a system where the guy just comes and he picks up the rupiahs and we just give it to him.
Oh wow.
If you have certain things set up, like if you have bank account or stuff set up, then you can pay through that as well. Or if you have
Okay.
PayPal or sometimes
Yeah.
it's just also, it's knowing the right people. So there's also this other thing too. You are potentially running a risk of getting scammed in certain areas because right now this is a very vulnerable time and you don't know. So there are stories of people that are getting like their visas incorrect and they're getting fines and this and that. But
Oh
you're
wow.
gonna have these stories everywhere in the world. These stories,
Yeah.
you
You
know
get
what I
them in
mean?
the UK. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. We're all getting these kind of stories. So in my experience, but I can only tell you from how I'm experiencing it within my
Exactly.
network and
Mhm.
my sphere of reality and my cognitive biases, right? But I'm telling you, like, from what I've seen and talked to, it always seems like it's a story of a someone from someone. You know what I mean? It's not a
Yes. Yeah.
direct connection. So anyone in my
100%.
direct
100%.
network has not been affected by this, and they've been actually thriving in this time.
Wow.
Their
Wow.
businesses have 10x because of COVID.
All online. All online. My business, I did the best year last year because of all online. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, your system's set up. So then take this in. I'm living in a villa that in high season regular is like pretty much double the price, maybe even more.
Wow.
Well, to give
Wow.
you an example, $100 a night is what one of these villas rooms, and I'm living in a 4 villa place next to the beach.
Wow.
But
Wow.
like it's not even a quarter of that I'm paying. Not even, it's
Yeah.
like for what I'm getting, it's yeah, it's incredible for what I'm getting.
Yeah, because I was looking at some villas and stuff like that, and there was this one place that I saw. Usually they were charging. It was something like it was like a huge villa, like something ridiculous, and they were charging something like in high season 20K a month, and because there was no one there, they were charging like 4 or 5K a month. I was like, oh my god, they are literally. But they said it's better than no money. Do you know what I mean? It is better than no money. But yeah, these places that are beautiful, you're literally paying, like you said, nothing.
And what I would recommend too as well is like not even try to lock in something. Get to the ground floor,
Yeah.
book yourself for like a week or a bit longer, 2 weeks, that you like, okay,
Yeah.
I feel like this is a good spot. And then try to suss yourself out, try to situate yourself, because again, you want to leave room to networking and meeting the right person, because you're one conversation away in the sauna from someone saying, oh,
True.
I got that for you. Oh yeah, just text
True.
it. That
True.
it's
True.
the barrier to entry once you're in the right place. Like already, you just talking to me, I've already just navigated like so much hecticness. If you
100%.
come here for you, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just link you to
I'll
all
be, I'll be knocking
the.
on the door like, Matt, can I come in?
Well, that, yeah, and I have no problem with that, because I was looking for the same. But that's part of, I know that that's part of my characters. Like I get on the ground floor. I got that capacity to me. I kind of
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
that fearlessness, and I've done that for a lot of other people in the position that I've been in other situations
Yeah.
where I kind of broke through for us, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
so
that's what makes you. That's what makes you an epic human, Matt.
I appreciate it. So I'm so happy. Like I even posted on my story one time before we actually connected, that the exact visa thing that you can come into Bali. Like here's how you come to Bali. Like
Oh wow.
I
Wow.
posted it on my story to like,
Okay.
no one hit me up, but like it's just like, so I can, change. It's like your paradigm's there. Like don't just sit here dreaming
Yeah.
of this and seeing me doing all these little things here. Like you
Go
can
and
do
do
it
it.
too. you
100%.
know
100%.
So that's my Bali situation.
Barley. What is it? It's the Matt's barley guide.
Yes. So Max, before we start getting into some of the deeper stuff, do you have any other questions I can answer that are crossing your mind
No,
within
do you
this
know what?
stuff?
That's pretty much sort of answered everything in regards to it. Now for me, it's just when and sort of exactly get more clarity on the business side of things for me, and then when do I want to do it? Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I've got another friend who's moving out to Bali as well. So like now I want to connect to more people and stuff like that. He does sort of a lot of YouTube and stuff like that. He's quite big on YouTube. Um, so yeah, I'm interested in getting out there, and I'll definitely be hitting you up, Matt.
So easy for content creation.
Mm,
The content hub, man. You just pull out the camera and the places looks good everywhere.
100%, 100%. Like even just doing like a normal video.
Yeah,
This is a background versus having a jungle as a background
yeah.
is so much different.
I know. And so to be honest, Max, I'm really, although I'm expressing all this, I must say I'm deeply humbled by the experiences that I've been able to experience here. I feel so blessed. It's come at a lot of faith. That's what it's come
Yeah,
at.
yeah,
I've done it to a lot of
100%.
faith. And so that's what's led me to us here today. And why I love talking with people like you is like the power of the mind and our thoughts, and
Mm,
how our thoughts
mm.
create our reality. So why don't we segue this into that? Max, how did you first get into all of this? There's usually, like, in my experience, there's typically a dark time before you
Yeah,
find this information.
very dark
So
time.
walk me through this. What happened? How'd you get
I'll
into this
try and keep it.
information?
I'll try and keep it short because I've done videos explaining my whole story, and every
Okay.
time I can't keep it under half an hour. It is just
Okay.
ridiculous of how much stuff. But I'll keep it as short as possible, but sort of explain as much detail as well.
Okay.
Essentially, from a young age, I was always quite a happy kid, sort of happy-go-lucky kid, whatever. And my dad was very aggressive. I then started racing motorbikes, and when I first started, like anyone, I was useless. I was last every single race. And he would always scream and shout and go crazy. And I was always used to the house being sort of smashed up. Like I'd come in, there'll be broken things all the time. Um, Sort of fast forwarding a bit, one of my friends actually died on a track that I crashed on, the same jump I crashed on, and I had quite a bad accident. He actually died. He had a heart attack. He was only 16 at the time, and so was I. And for me, that sort of not really experiencing death, when I spoke to him the night before and didn't speak to him the day after, to me, I couldn't really comprehend that. And I was sort of like, doesn't make any sense. And I remember I just broke down crying, and I was just an absolute mess. But from that day forward, I sort of said, right, you know what? I'm just going to live life because it could be my last day. But my version of living life was not what I believed living life to be. It was, how many drugs can I take? How much can I drink? How many fights can I get in? How can I not care about anything or anyone? And that sort of led me down quite a dark road of literally getting to the point of taking cocaine like 5-6 times a week, constantly drinking, smoking weed, pretty much everything other than heroin, really. That was pretty much how far I went with that type of stuff. Then a lot of things happened with my dad. A few things, sort of me and him pretty much nearly having a fight all the time, because he would just start screaming and shouting, and I'd get to the point, I was growing up, I was turned into sort of an adult, so I'd just start to stand up to him. But I'd have a lot of my friends as sort of a backing. Like, I remember I came back one night and he started screaming and shouting. I was like, come on, then what are we going to do? Let's have it out. Let's have it out. But I had like 4 of my friends. So I was being the tough guy.
Yeah.
But then he actually attacked my mum. He like smashed the shit out of the house. He completely ruined sort of loads of stuff. And I came in that night completely off my head on cocaine. And I tried to open the front door, couldn't get in. There was 2 spades blocking the door, so I couldn't actually get in. Climbed through the window, walked through the house. The house was smashed up. Laptop been jumped on, glass everywhere. Things were in the garden. And turned out he had actually been beating my mum up. And I didn't know. And luckily, I didn't see it, because I think something very bad would have happened, because there was like 5 of my friends. We were all on cocaine. We were all off our head. I probably think someone probably would have been in like really bad, like obviously my mum was in, like, she had bruises all over all of this, but I do think like potentially could have been like a fatality. Like, it would have been that bad, because if 5 of us would have seen something like that, do you know what I mean, we probably wouldn't have stopped like attacking him. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise that I didn't necessarily see it. From that day forward, I sort of looked and I was like, I'm literally following in his footsteps. I'm drinking all the time. I'm smoking all the time. I'm taking drugs. I'm fighting all the time. I was in a group of people that I don't speak to anymore. I haven't spoken to any of my old friends in years. And from that day forward, I really just said to myself, like, I've got to start making changes. And from that, I actually came across a Tony Robbins video. And I remember just sitting there, just like, this man knows life. Like, I've got to do that. But then when I started to come off drugs, my drugs were my confidence. I didn't have any confidence. As soon as I stopped taking drugs, my anxiety went through the roof. And I like doing something like this would petrify me. Like, I kid you not, I'm petrified. Speaking to people petrified me. Speaking on the phone petrified me. I hated it. And I got a lot of severe anxiety, depression, and I started thinking like suicidal thoughts of just like, well, what's the point in even being here, Joe? What is the point? And just getting really to the point. I never did like attempt suicide or anything like that, but just to a point where it was just like, who would care? What's the point? Like, literally that sort of dark. And that's where I started to make those shifts. And it took me a while, don't get me wrong. It didn't just happen overnight. And I'm not saying to anyone that it ever will. It took me a while to sort of find the information, find the right mentors. At the time, I had no money. I lost my job because I used to work for my dad. So I refused to work for him. I was like, I'm not working for him. I had to sell all my stuff, TV, shoes, clothes, just to live. I remember 1 week I couldn't afford food. So I literally just had protein shakes for a week. And I was working as a network marketer, if you're familiar with the industry.
Yes.
And we sold protein shakes. And I literally just had a box of them in my cupboard. And I didn't want to ask my mum and sister for money. Because I was a very, like, I just didn't like that. I still don't like that today. Do you know what I mean? I just don't ask people for money. I'd like to provide. I hate to ask. And I was so scared of asking that I was like, no, Joe, what? I'm just going to have protein shakes until I've got some more money. And I remember actually my last £20, I had the last £20. And I went to the shop one day and I remember Tony Robbins' story of sort of the secret to living is giving, where he gave his last X amount of dollars to a kid in a shop. I think he said the guy's name was Paul and whatever. And I remember hearing that story, and I was in the shop and I literally bought my breakfast, which was like £5. And there was a lady behind me, and I just said to the lady, the till, I was like, can you just pay for her shopping? Because I know she didn't have much and I knew the £15 would cover her. And she was like, no, I can't do that. And I was like, no, please. And I remember, like Tony Robbins said, I just walked. I didn't walk. I just sort of like skipped. Like, I was just so high of like, just give. And like Tony Robbins, I just wasn't scared. Even though that was my last £20, I had no cash, like zero in my bank account, zero, £20, zero, nothing now. And I was like, yeah, I need to find a way to make some money. And it was ironic that week, I was saying to myself, right, I want to manifest £500. Like, from having no money, £500 is a lot of money. And my friend messaged me that day, do you want to work? And this was when I was still doing building. And he was like, yeah, if you work for the week, we'll pay you £500. I was like, oh, so that was sort of like my first manifestation of like, oh, this
Nice.
stuff does work.
How old were you at this point?
I think about 18.
Okay.
So yeah, I was probably about 18, and this is where I started to really get into this. When I left school, I could barely read. So the first book I actually read was The Secret. And that's sort of what opened me up into this world. Then I read Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker and started to really go from there. And yeah, from that point, that's where I was like, right, that's it. I need to start a business. I started a clothing company, bought loads of stock, started an Instagram page, made a website. Awful, absolutely awful. Ended up going to connecting with someone, and they said, they were like, are you doing it for the money, or are you doing it for the joy of doing it? And I was like, I just want the money. They're like, stop. And I was like, yeah, no, that's true. That's fair. That's fair. I could appreciate that. And from that day forward, it was just, what business can I start? I started that. I started building company. I started doing affiliate marketing. I started network marketing. I started like it literally to the point I couldn't name all the businesses I've started, but I know it's been 12 businesses today. And this is the business that's actually sort of now thriving. But I was saying to you before, when I went to Bali, before I did that, I was doing digital marketing. And that's where I started to really dive into the personal development side of stuff and understand the mind. And when I stopped doing digital marketing, that was where I went full in. I was like, I think this was like 2017, 2018. I really went full in with studying on the mind, how it works, how we make change, how humans can change their life instantly. When I came across hypnosis, what took me 3 years to cover, 3 months was skyrocket. I was just like so much happier, so much more confident, knowing more what I'm doing, being able to take sort of the bull by the horns and just run with it. So when I started to learn hypnosis, I was like, this works for me. I need to do this with other people. And that's where I started to see results that I could get with people just reduce. The amount of time just went from boom, boom, because you don't need as much time to spend when you're working with the subconscious mind. I know that for a fact. I know it scientifically. I know it practically. I know it for myself. Like, I just know it. And yeah, from that day forward, it was really, hypnosis is the way. How can I use this to help people? And that's what part of my retreat is going to be using hypnosis. I made a 30-day challenge using hypnosis to help people rewire their minds in 30 days for completely free on YouTube. And sort of so that there's different entries to work with me. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people have said in the past, which you've probably had, especially the coach, well, you've got to do it for free. And obviously my first opening into that was, well, of course I'd love to do it for free, but I've got to live. And I had a massive imposter syndrome being able to charge money. But now I charge money, but I also have a barrier to entry, which is my YouTube stuff. You can get a lot of information from that. If you're willing to put the work in, then there's no excuses. And that's sort of one of the things I want to do, is not give people excuses to say, oh, but I can't afford coaching. I was like, neither could I. So how could you do it? There's a lot of free information out there. There is. Like you said, you speak to the person that knows what they're talking about. You get the right information. I've got now the right information to get out to Bali, which is now going to be very helpful. When you have something to offer, like in the start, do you know what I mean? If you don't have anything to offer, then you can't just get these coaches for free. When you're a coach yourself, you can connect with these coaches that give you the information. Do you know what I mean? Like, some of this information that we're going to talk about today is some people pay a lot of money for. So people listening to this, do you know what I mean? They're getting the information. But doing active hypnosis with someone really just works on the brain so much faster and gets the results a lot quicker. I know I kind of diverted there, but yeah, that's kind of sort of what got me from where I was to where I am. And all the stuff that went on served me gratefully. And I know for a fact, if I didn't go through all the stuff I went through, all that depression, all that fear, all that struggle, all my past, all my traumas, I definitely wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. I would be in a safe 9-to-5 job. I'm happy still. I know that for a fact.
Man, we share so much in common.
Really?
Same thing with like abusive father.
Wow.
With addictions, cocaine, same thing. That's basically how I express it. Everything but heroin. Same thing.
Wow. That is crazy. It's crazy how we connect. Do you know what I mean? But like you said, people that have been through this stuff, we connect on such a energetic level that even though you're in Bali and I'm in the UK. It's 10 a.m. here, and we're able to have this conversation. And probably this is something that, like, do you know what I mean, becomes lifelong friends. Do you know what I mean? Of something so small that connects us together, that then, I don't know, do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that happens, and it happens. And for anyone listening, it does happen. You just got to continue on your process, and it may not happen on day one. Like you said, you've been in this journey for how long? Did you say 5 or 6 years now?
Yeah.
Oh, because that's the same for me.
Yeah.
And that's it's funny. Like the first year, right, that's it. I'm going to hit these goals. Hit none of them, not one of them.
Not even
But the
close.
next year I was like, right. And I remember I made this graphic. I've got to find it one day. I'll have to show you.
Yeah.
It was 2015 hurt me, 2016 changed me, 2017 watch me. Every single year I just about the next year.
Yeah, that's so sick.
And just put 2015 hurt me, 2016 changed me, 2017 watch me, cross out, 2018 watch me, 2019 watch me, 2020 watch me, 2021 watch me. Every year it's just been the same, watch me. And only really last year was the year that I started to make progress. Like before that, money was here and there. If that, I would do odd jobs, I would work for people randomly, I would go and do gardening, I would do all this stuff just to get by. But now I'm in a position where I have a service that offers value. It's now just about fine tuning that and creating that and having all these different streams of income now, which is through YouTube. I'm just starting to work YouTube, how it works and all those kind of things. The retreats, that's another thing. I've got some investments in like crypto and stuff like that come in. So all these little things that I knew nothing about even 2 years ago is now becoming a possibility. And for anyone listening, patience is one of the biggest things that I actually thrive myself on now. And I remember my grandparents who didn't not believe in me, but they were always like, why don't you just get a job driving a van? And I was like, because I don't want to drive a van. I was like, I would rather be a poor man living happy than a stable income unhappy. Just my life's one of two ways: poor and happy, or extremely successful and happy. It's going to be either one. I don't care which one, but I know which one it's going to be because of the amount of effort I put into it.
Because you're in charge, so this is not an option down here because you're in charge of it.
Exactly. And I sort of came up with this little quote, and life will go one way, and that's the way that I say. And it won't happen initially, it won't happen immediately, but life will go the way that I want it to go. I know I'm going to be out in Bali. It's inevitable because I've created it. It's in here. It's done. It's now just, what do I need to do to get to there? And there's a few things that I know I need to do before I get there. And that's what I'm working on right now. But it is inevitable. And anyone that is watching this in a year, 2 years time, maybe not even in 2 years time. I don't know. It could be 10 years. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I know I'm going to get there one day. And that's the thing, what I say with patience. My grandparents said to me a while ago, like, Max, you are a very patient person with your success, aren't you? And I'm like, I actually take that as a huge compliment because we've got to be patient. Do you know what I mean? Great things just don't appear out of nowhere. They come as a result of either putting a lot of effort in, whether that is physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is, there's still some form of massive action that has to happen. For you to live in Bali, you can visualize it as much as you want. But if you don't get the plane and fly out to Bali, then you're not going to be in Bali.
Nope.
Do you know what I mean? And that's what I like to explain to people. Like, I'm all for, which you seem very similar in that the spiritual, the energetic, the sort of the wishy-washy stuff. I actually do really like I love crystals. I love like breathing, cacao ceremonies, like all these different things. I love that stuff. But I also know for a fact, if we don't up and do something, all that stuff is going to be kind of irrelevant. Unless you want to be, like, don't get me wrong, it's not irrelevant. Unless you want to be a monk that literally sits and does nothing, that is incredibly happy doing nothing, then yeah, it does work. But you still run a business. You still have to do your daily routines that get you into you prime yourself into, like you said, the paradigm that allows you to be where you are today, that allows you to be Matt, the epic human. Do you know what I mean? It didn't just happen.
No,
you created it.
Absolutely. I love that. And to give you a side note, I sat by a monk actually in India. And guess what?
Go on.
He wasn't even happy.
Seriously?
Yeah, so that helped me X that one off. I didn't need to become a monk. I seriously, because of that moment, because that experience, I realized, okay, cool. I don't need to be a monk. I fulfilled that. And if you can tell me that this guy spends this much time and he's still agitated inside himself and has this and that, bless his heart, he's gone through a lot and he's experienced a lot and he's healing through it. But even at that level of diligence and still doesn't create it, whoa, that's cool. That gave me so much fuel to get back into the material world. I was so motivated to get into the material world.
That's really interesting, actually, because it sounds, we sound like a carbon copy of each other. What I'm going to say is it probably resonate with you a lot. When I stopped doing the digital marketing, I said, I want to be a monk. And ayahuasca was sort of the shaman's like path for me. I was like, maybe I'll be a shaman. I don't know. Yeah. After doing ayahuasca, I had such an awful experience. We'll have to speak about it another time because that's a whole story in itself, and that would take ages. But my experience was so traumatic that it actually made me think to myself, I was like, right, that's it. I'm not spiritual. And I was quite butthurt with what I didn't get. It's what I wanted, but I didn't get. And I literally was like, I'm not a spiritual person. I must not be a spiritual person. And it took me 2 years.
It's hilarious. I've never heard that before. That's such a good way to say it.
It took me 2 years, a year to come up with one of the first lessons from ayahuasca, 2 years to come up with the second. The most important one being, I'm grateful to be able to think, walk, talk, feel, hear senses, because in my ayahuasca, I went insane. I couldn't see.
Yes.
Honestly, the worst thing ever. But what I got from it is, I'm lucky to be here, to be able to talk and know what I'm talking about.
And come back to this. Come back to this.
100%. So that ayahuasca itself took me and said, look, Max, you're not here to be a spiritual being. It didn't say this specifically. It took me a while to come up with. You're not here to just be a spiritual being that just meditates 24/7 and does nothing. You're here to impact people, to grow, to learn. I truly believe happiness is the art of growing as well as learning, as well as finding happiness. Like it's a whole sort of conglomerate of things that doesn't just happen. When I'm working towards something, that's when I'm happiest. When I'm working out, that's when I'm happiest. When I'm doing stuff like this, that's when I'm happiest, because it's creating connections. We're learning things at the same time. I'm spreading what I love to spread. I'm sharing what I love to share. So it really is that. And it really took me from, like I said, ayahuasca sort of kicked me away from just wanting to be a monk or a shaman and just be spiritual and never earn money again, to back to the material world. Say, how can I incorporate what I know spiritually to help people physically, mentally, spiritually grow, learn, and just become their greatest self? And then that was what solidified me to say, I'm going all in, which was in 2019 with coaching. Like, I'd been doing coaching for a while, but that's when I went all in with it, and just said, right, I've got to make this my business. How do I do it?
Okay, this is cool. I'm curious about this part. So you said you were doing coaching for a while, and then you said 2019 you went full in. So what is a while? And then what was that shift that allowed you to go all in?
So 2018, that's when I started doing stuff for free. And I just said, look, I know what I know. Let's see what I can add to people.
Yep.
For the whole year I worked for free. I didn't make a penny.
Oh, okay.
I would message people and I'd be like, can I coach you? Is there anything I can do to help? And they're like, oh, how much it costs? I'm like, literally nothing. I just want to see what I can do to help and add value. Some people were getting some results, in fairness, but what I did notice was people that didn't pay attention.
Yes.
And do you know what I mean? And
yes.
Although I charge high prices, or maybe logical prices, I would say.
Subjective.
You want someone to have skin in the game.
Yes.
Exactly. You want someone to have skin in the game, so that they're like, I've got to listen, I've got to learn, I've got to do what he says. Because at the end of the day, yeah, I'm a hypnotist and I can help you rewire your mind quite easily within one session, realistically. I give a time period because I don't like to say one session because everyone's different. But if you don't do the work, it's irrelevant. It's like going to a personal trainer. I'm sure you've probably used this analogy. You go to a personal trainer once and never work out for the rest of the week, and just see them once, eat chocolate, eat crap all the rest of the week, and then go see that personal trainer on that Tuesday again. It's irrelevant. Like, what's the point in spending the money? So use these coaches, but there's also stuff we've got to do ourselves. And that's why I like to help people become their own coach, because I can do all the work for you, but if you don't do it yourself, then you're just going to go back to your old ways.
So when you stepped into actually starting to charge, what did you do to like with the imposter syndrome? What was that from like, I'm doing this for free now to like, because there's some point inside ourselves where like, hey, enough's enough. Like,
Yeah.
I
That
know
was
my
it.
worth. I know my worth. Like, when you made that decision, then was there like aftermath of imposter syndrome? And talk to me about how that first call was, where you got that first bit of money, where someone's like, okay, I'll do this with you. You're like, what? Okay, see you later. You're like, oh, no, like, no, I want to do this with you.
Yeah. 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 You're sort of, you're expecting them to say no. Do you know what? I can't even remember who my first client was. I'm trying to think. I remember who actually, okay. So what happened? I started really diving into stuff, and I actually made an online course, which I found out was the stupidest thing I did, because I spent 8 months working on this course, sold 10 of them, never sold them ever again in my life. And I'll give the course away for free. and I spent 8 months making this. I made a video course. I made a whole booklet, like literally. It's like a 120 page book, 136 page booklet, a whole video course, 4 hours worth of webinars, and I think 2 meditations.
Wow.
And I only sold that very cheaply as well. I only sold it for, so basically what happened, I created that and I was like, right, let me see on my followers on Instagram who would be interested in doing it. So it was more of a group coaching thing on Zoom. So they got the live Zooms then saved into the portal on my website. So there's a lot of information, a hell of a lot of information. Some of the stuff's still relevant actually, but I like to lead with value, and stuff that I know now, I know is 10 times stronger. I now have a self-hypnosis course that people can take, and I'm happy to give that away. Actually, no, tell a lie. I used to give it away for free, but again, like I said, what people pay, they value. So I put it for £30. I was like, look, if you don't have £30, don't buy it. If you have £30, buy it. It's there. It's yours for the taking, sort of thing. But effectively, that was sort of my first taste back into charging people. And like I said, it was cheap. I think it was like £100. I think, no, £97 is what I charged for a whole 4-week course. All the information. So it was no money, realistically no money. I think total, I netted about £1,000 total, or just shy of £1,000. And that was the last ever sale I ever made at 1,000. Well, actually, no, I made a sale of the course. Someone bought it the other day. I saw it pop up on my website. And yeah, from that day forward, it was sort of like, to break imposter, I was like, right, I've just got to do it. And I feel like for me, it was a gradual thing. I didn't start charging the money I charge now, because it was like, okay, let me charge where I think I'm at. And I did charge a lot less, like literally pennies, absolute pennies. So yeah, to break the imposter, it was that sort of, I've had enough, I've got to start charging, because I had no money, I wasn't earning money, and it was to the point where it was, you need to earn more money, like you're sort of screwed. Then I started doing that. Then I started seeing how I could, when I was doing hypnosis, I was like, right, let me work one-to-one with people with hypnosis. Again, charging nothing, absolutely nothing for a session. Now I charge, I think, 5 times more than I originally charged. I know I can get better results now, in fairness, but at the time it was just like, right, I've just got to go for it. Like, I'm never going to learn if I don't do it. And even like for me, I'm always, as soon as I learn something new, right, implement. Whether that's with whatever it is, whether I learn a new way how to edit videos or something like that, implement what I learn. And I remember the first time I hypnotized someone, it was my mum. And I remember literally her being there, and I was like, are you hypnotized? Which, if you know anything about hypnosis is all about sort of influence, confidence, and being a person who knows they can hypnotize you. I can hypnotize anyone, but I won't hypnotize everyone, because there's some people that are going to be so against me trying to hypnotize them. Straight away they're resisting. They're like, no, you're not going to hypnotize, you're not going to do it, you're not going to do it, you're not going to do it. So immediately their mind is putting a wall in the place to say, no, Max isn't going to do it. And in order for me to be a good hypnotist, I need to be able to build rapport with people, for them to believe that I'm going to help them gain more control of their mind. So, like I said, if anyone's starting out, my first client with hypnosis was my mum, and I asked her if she was hypnotized. So if you want a bigger fail than that, I don't know if you'll find it with hypnosis. But yeah, from there, I actually I've spent, I don't even know, tens of thousands on courses, coaches, seminars, retreats, all that kind of stuff. And this is where I started to get into higher ticket stuff. And I realized I'm charging this amount for, you can do a 3-week program, a 4-week program, a 5-week program, a 6-week program, a 7-week program, an 8-week program, which to anyone looking at it goes, nah, screw that. There's too many to choose from. Whereas now I do a 7-week program. That's it. 7 weeks. You get my self-hypnosis course. You work with me one-to-one. You get the transformations. Whereas before there were so many elements to this. So it was really business coaches, all this kind of stuff that helped me sort of solidify what I did. And yeah, from working with my first person, which was like an actual paid client, I remember vaguely was, oh my God, I'm charging this person £400. But now again, that's again 5 times less than what I charge, well, less than 5 times what I charge now. But £400 back then was when I was broke and I had no money.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm like you said, I'm not incredibly wealthy right now. I'm still working the ropes. You know what I mean, business is still something that I'm learning. I'm not like I said, I'm not a veteran. I'm still earning my stripes, and it takes time. It does take time, and I don't want anyone to think that this just happens and you just learn it. Like there's still things I'm learning today. Do you know what I mean? And still things that I don't have a clue about that I still need to learn. So yeah, from my first person to where I am now, it took time, it took a process, but also it took a lot of the hypnosis I do to myself to realize why am I got these limiting beliefs around not being able to help people. I know the value I can offer people. I know I can help you change your life very quickly. So why don't I just start going for it? And it takes courage. But anyone that doesn't know exactly what courage is feeling fear, but taking action anyway. And I'm scared every day of my life. Like there's days where I'm scared to do so many things, but I say I can do that. And then I figure out how to do it. Like Richard Branson says, say you can do it, figure out how to do it. And I feel like that's a lot of my life. Can you do this? Yeah, of course I can. Let me just figure this out again. Let me solidify it. Yeah, that'd be easier.
Let me just go check. Yeah, I can do that.
And I've done that, especially with myself. And before I even went to go and, do you know what RTT is? Marissa Peer's type of therapy.
Yes, actually, I do. I just heard about it like 3 months ago.
Okay, so I was actually going to take her course, and it's about $6,500. And I was like, yes, screw it, I'll do it. I want to get the qualification. But I realized I was already a hypnotist. I already had a hypnotherapy practitioner qualification. I had a master hypnotherapy practitioner qualification. What else? I'm pretty sure there was more hypnosis stuff. I don't know. Whatever it is, so much hypnosis stuff. And I was like, is this a limiting belief to me to say I need another bit of paper to tell me I can hypnotize people? I looked at the process. I started to go through it, and I was like, I'm doing that. I'm already doing this. And I'm already working with people with like childhood traumas, from down to things like sexual abuse, sexual assault, all that kind of things. Although I'm starting to move away from the therapy side of things, I want to be more of a, like I said, helping people become their own coach. But I work with things like that to wipe away traumas, to remove the stuff, to then install new programs, what they want. They want to be happy. They want to be confident. They want to be more successful. They want to live their greatest life. First needs removing and installing. And when I looked at what I was doing, I was like, I'm literally doing it. Why am I spending $6,500? So this is where I went for a one-to-one mentor, which then get me another qualification with his type of hypnosis, with his sort of Hypnosis Academy. I'm sort of qualified under his Hypnosis Academy as well. I got to work with him one-to-one. I got more business advice as well as hypnosis advice. He did hypnosis with me as well. So that worked out, and it was like half the price of what I was going to charge. I wanted to spend some money because it was just to develop, further my education, and it saved me some money with taxes because it was a business expense. But yeah, I'm all for money that I get either goes into my education, into equipment, microphones, computers, even a phone because I need it for work, or like I said, with education or something like that, or in some sort of investment. For me, I don't care for living a comfortable life. For me, I'm going all in, and I know I'm sort of sidetracking here, but for me, I'm going all in. Anything I get is either going into me as a person, as an investment, or an investment for my future in some sort of way. And like I said, an investment in yourself is an investment in your future at the end of the day.
Yes, it is. Man, I love hearing this. This is so great, as I'm in, I'm swimming in similar waters as you right now. So it's really cool to hear your journey and where you're at right now. There's something that, just to echo onto what you've been saying, Max, as well as like, So you hear Max has built his course for $1,000, and it took him 8 months, right? But like, what we need to reframe as we're going. This is for the listeners here, because Max, I already know you've reframed it, but that's his college. He's going to school, so he had to learn the softwares of what software. So how many hours on YouTube learning the software? How many hours filming to learn what the, okay, now I film it, where do I put it? How many hours putting it together? Now I've got a course, how do I get people in it? Like all these things that, yeah, he only got $1,000 in return, but think about how many kids go to university and leave with a $60,000 debt. You left
100%.
with $1,000 up.
100%. 100%.
So this is kind of the digital education these days. Now you can source people for help. And actually we, as coaches, I'm sure you do too, Max, like recommend it. Like try to really look into someone that you resonate with for
100%.
the guidance that you're looking for. But also, man, it's just, you got to get out and do it.
100%. That's the biggest thing is, like I said, and what I learned from that was huge, absolutely huge. I then found out after doing that course, I started listening to, do you know Gerard Adams?
No,
he's an entrepreneur in America. I've connected. He's incredibly. So he ended up selling his company, Elite Daily, for something like $50 million to the Daily Mail. Incredible entrepreneur. He now works in sort of the spiritual coaching sector and stuff like that. And I did a live with him one day, and I was sort of asking him some questions about how would you even build a business and stuff like that. And he always said, like, don't sell the course, or don't make the course before you've sold it. So that in itself has always stuck with me ever since.
Yeah.
I've never made the only course that I made was my self-hypnosis course, because that supplements my physical course. So when people buy work with me, they get that free. If people want to buy the self-hypnosis course, they can buy it. It's on like my website. You can go over and buy it, or it's on Thinkific. It's like a course hosting website. And that has stuck with me ever since. So now, before I do anything, I always sell it first and then make it, because people may not want it.
This is such a key distinction that when I found this out, it blew my mind, and it makes so much sense. You pre-sell.
When you hear it, you're a bit like, that doesn't make any sense. You feel a bit unethical.
To sell something I don't have? How do I know what to put in it? Well, you ask them. What do they need help with? Exactly. I kid you not, Max. I've come across in the space that I'm helping, like I'm getting mentored and also helping out my mentor. So actually, maybe I should give the viewers and you an understanding before I express it. So here I am. I don't have money to invest in myself at the moment. And some of you may be in a similar situation. You're like, I want to do something, but I don't have money to invest in myself. And I want that thing, but what that thing is needs money.
100%,
Okay.
100%.
All right. Can't do it that route. Okay. I gotta think of a different route. Okay. The next route is, how can I add value to that person that has the thing I want? So what I learned on the side was, hey, in the midst of me creating my own content, I got a skill, which is videography and editing. Why don't I add this to him? I add value to him, and in exchange, I can be around him. And hey, you know what? I have selling skills. Why don't I sell for him? At the same time, now I'm like a multi-dimensional human for him, adding value to him and getting to be around him. So he's a guy that he basically helps transformational coaches take their business to $50,000 months through pretty much all automation. And being around this guy is like pretty incredible. Like one after another, mind blowing. And so I get to jump on some of the calls and stuff with him. And I heard one guy, this guy spent, I kid you not, $60,000 on a course. I saw his course, like he brought it up on the Zoom call. I saw his course. It's so complex. He hadn't sold it yet. And I'm sitting, like I'm just a fly on the wall on it, but I'm watching this go down because I know the information now, and I'm going, wow, this guy is like essentially a Harvard grad. So massively intelligent, but just didn't
in
know
certain
this.
areas.
Yeah, just didn't know this piece of information, created this whole complexity, which I'm sure is a great value in some sort, but it doesn't matter how complex it is. If no one wants it, no one wants it.
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
was
That's
so
crazy.
shocked to see this. Like, here's a guy at this level performing or has these accolades or whatever they are, and still like created, spent $60,000, spent a
Mm,
year on it, and stuck in his own.
crazy.
He was stuck. We never ended up selling him. He was stuck in his own bird cage
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's
because
the thing. I'm sure. Did you post something on your story the other day actually? And it was like it was a bird with a cage around his head. Was it you that posted that?
no, I don't think it was, but I know
I know.
I know the post you're talking about.
Yes, I saw someone post it. It just reminded me of that. But that was the biggest thing, is really realizing and learning from your mistakes. You know what I mean? Like I spent, when you look at it, I spent a lot of time, a fair bit of money. Like you said, when I first learned I edit all my YouTube videos alone. I post TikTok content, Instagram content, YouTube content. I edit all my own stuff. Um, and it takes a lot of time. When I first learned how to use Premiere Pro, couldn't use it at all. Could not
Yep.
use it. I found the cheapest software I could use, which I think it was called Lightworks. It cost me £90 for the year, as cheap as anything. And it was like a very bad software. Do you know what I mean? It's not great. Not bad, actually. That's a lie. It's a decent software, and it was great for me to learn on. But now with Premiere Pro, I can do all these little cuts and all the little graphics. I can make them all because I know how it works. I could have spent 20 grand, gone to university, got a video editing degree. I don't know if they even do that, but do you know what I mean? Like a marketing degree that teaches you how to video edit, or you can learn it for yourself, which I personally believe. I'm so out of the first world way of living. I've been debating quite a lot about, do I want to get a qualification in neuroscience or epigenetics or quantum physics or something like that. I would love to, but also equally, I want to prove to people that you don't need those qualifications to have the knowledge, because there's a lot of stuff that I know about these topics. I just don't have a doctorate. I don't have doctor in front of my name. And as much as I'd love that, as much as I think, because it does give you kudos. And when you look at how influence works, people respect people in white coats. But I want people to be able to respect someone who's got tattoos, who isn't your generic scientist, who hasn't been to Harvard, but can still get results of people, because at the end of the day, results are all that matter. If you say, I want to 10x my business, and there's someone who's got a doctorate, they've got a degree, they've got all of these things, and they've got a degree in business, versus someone who's never even been to school but runs a successful business, I know who I'm going with.
Yep.
And I sort of want to live out what I believe as well. And don't get me wrong, there's still days to this day where I think, oh, I should do it, but I just can't fathom going to university. I feel like there's much more profound ways to get the information from, like you said, the horse's mouth, someone who knows what they're talking about. And the amount of studying I do as itself, like as is, I feel there's so much information that I do have, and I feel like you've got to realize that information that you do have and what you do have to offer. So anyone that is starting off in the coaching sector specifically, there's always someone who doesn't know as much as you that you can help out. And there's still people that know 10 times more than me today. And I humbly admit that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a genius. I'm where I am because of the work I've put in. But there's people that don't know as much as me. There's people that do know more than me. There's people that know the same amount as me. It doesn't stop me from being where I am and stop me from doing what I need to do. But also, like, you reroute yourself at times. You know what I mean? Like I said, with my YouTube content, I'm going all in with YouTube. You know what I mean? It's going to work. It's like I said, with Bali, it's inevitable. It's just until it
Matter
works.
of time.
And I'm starting, like I said, about some sort of TV show with it, of really taking people on a journey of, let's say they've got some really bad social anxiety to the point of where they can literally walk up to a crowd of people and have a conversation. That's sort of the goal of, like, and I'm going to explain sort of the influence techniques I use, the helping them brainwash themselves to be more confident. All these little things. It's not just hypnosis. It's a real full-on process. And then maybe that can turn into something. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's all these different avenues that can appear. And I feel like you've just got to go for it regardless. Like, even with the business I'm doing today, there's been things that I've done that I'm not going to do anymore. There's been things that I'm doing that I'm probably going to move away from certain things. Once I start to get into retreats, maybe that's going to be my bread and butter and that's all I'm going to do. I don't know if I'll work with people one-to-one still. Maybe I will, or maybe I'll just up my price and say, look, I don't want to, but if you want to, I will do it. Or say, and if you want to work with me one-to-one, you've got to be on my TV show or whatever it is. You know what I mean? life's a journey, and you've just got to be there to be willing to take the ride effectively, I think.
Man, I completely agree. I completely agree. I the community that I'm connected to is, I feel so grateful to be the place that I get to be in and see what some of these humans are doing. It's not so mind blowing. It's triggering. That's how
Yeah.
mind blowing it is. It's triggering. I can't believe it.
Then
I've had to.
you to do it as well, doesn't it?
It's incredible. It's incredible. And so when you talk about, would you rather pay someone with the university or the guy that's got the results? It reminds me of the story of Henry Ford.
Yes.
High school education. And at one point, they called him in because at that time this is the way they said, he's an ignorant man. Said Henry Ford is an ignorant man. I'll send it to you. Actually, have you watched the Think and Grow Rich documentary?
I feel like I have. It's got a lot of the digital entrepreneurs in it, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, Joe Brown. He's one of the guys I'm after to try to get him on my podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's manifesting. I wrote down people's names. I had no idea about. I didn't even have Instagram. My friend was like, a digital nomad fanboy. So he told me about all the players here. So then I wrote down all their names. I'm like, I'm going to meet all of these people. Oh, wow. I've met all of them except for him. He's the only one I haven't met. And some of them I've worked with, and I also work along with them. Now they're my friends and stuff, which is really incredible. Created content with them and stuff. But they called him basically Henry Ford an ignorant man. And so he got put into the courtroom, and they basically tested his intelligence on information that he could memorize about history. And Henry Ford said, basically, he's like, I have 8 buttons. Yes. Any answer I need, I just press the button, and a certain expert comes to me and gives me the answer. I don't want to fill my mind with useless information. So I remember talking to my mom about what I was getting into and the people in the community that I'm around. And she's like, well, don't you have to be whatever? And I'm like, well, that's the funny thing. If someone's down to pay you, like if you want the result and that person's got the result you want, then you can just facilitate that result. You don't need to say that I'm this or I'm that. And at one point, every association wasn't an association, and all associations are formed by people. And then they created the association, and then they said, now you've got to play by our rules. Well, why? 100%. Because the association said so. Okay, what association? Well, the association of this. Okay, but like at one point, the association of this wasn't around. So if I want to do it outside of that, I can still do it. No, you can't. You have to be part of the association. Fine, I don't want to be part of the association. Well, you can't do it. Why not?
Yeah. I feel like that is the most impactful way of looking at things, to say, well, life isn't linear. It's not that. Life's not that. Life is this. Like you're gonna learn different things. There's things that I've learned in the past that I've used with people that I probably won't use again. There's things that I don't know today that I will use in the future. There's things that I use today that I will always use. And there's always going to be sort of like your core. But I never, when I get on a call with people, go, here's my certificate that I'm a hypnotherapy practitioner. Not one.
Excuse me, Maximus, please, can I see your certificate before we start our session?
And if someone said that, I'd be like, look, I'm not the right person for you, because you're not the type of person I want to work with.
You're not the right person. I'm looking for people that just want the result. Get me from A to B.
Also, in order for me to be a good hypnotist, I have to build confidence that I'm the right person to work with. So if I haven't done that, then that shows that either I'm not, either the connection just isn't right and we're not the right people to work together, or I'm not the right person for them. Or there's stuff that I still need to learn, which I do. You know what I mean? I'm one of my favorite things that I heard Joe Dispenza say was, from my current state of ignorance, because one of my biggest things is I love how humble Joe Dispenza is.
Yeah, isn't it incredible?
Goal for me.
Oh,
like the work he does, and he's like, it's so humbling to and you're just like, you're literally, people are like curing themselves from cancer, and you're like, life's good.
Yeah, this guy's incredible. He's got it figured out for the humility. That is so true.
Yeah. And that's really what I like to strive myself on. I like to say, from my current state of ignorance, like, I could be wrong with everything that I'm doing right now, but I could also be right. I know I get results of people, and I know I can get results of people. So now it's just about, for me, amplifying that. And that's why I'm going all in with social media. I've been going all in with social media for a long time. But now it's just about, how can I create content that really engages people, but also teaches them something? Because at the end of the day, as much as I love to do the sit down videos, it's not as engaging as someone actually going through a transformation.
Sure.
You can talk about something as much as you want. So you can talk about business as much as you want. Watching someone start their own business is a lot more encouraging, to help more people and give them the actual, oh, these are the tasks that I'm coming across. These are the things I'm failing with, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I know for a fact, like, don't get me wrong, to be a hypnotist, or to be a hypnotherapist, you do need some qualifications, which you can't bypass. You can't just say, oh no, I'm a hypnotherapist. Like, you do need to do certain things, like being a lawyer. You can't just buy a lawyer qualification. You have to go and do the exams or whatever, which I understand. But you don't necessarily have to go to the most expensive hypnotherapy schools to be the best hypnotherapist. And there was a lady that I was watching who is a hypnotherapist, and she was saying, you need to have some sort of knack to this as well. You can spend 50 grand on a qualification to do hypnotherapy. I don't think you can spend that much, but let's say you could. Or you could learn it through books, and the person that has learned it through books, which cost them literally nothing, can be a better hypnotherapist because they understand how people work. They understand how hypnosis works. Just because you spent more money doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting the better qualification or you're the better person for this. You've got to be willing to do it. And that's what I strive myself in. Every day I learn something. Every day I'm listening to videos. Every day I'm testing different things. Every day I'm doing my own work. So in order for me to be a good hypnotist, I need to practice what I preach. And in order for me to be a good coach, I need to practice what I preach. And that's what I strive myself on, is when I'm going through hard times. And actually, ironically, I made a video the other month that's being posted in a few days about how, I'll explain the brief side of it. I was doing some breath work and some meditation, and these beings just came to me and they started digging out my stomach. It wasn't painful. It was quite, like, weirdly relaxing. And they were digging out my stomach, these two beings. And they'd be there sometimes in my meditations. They'd be just sort of this, like, one either side. And I hadn't seen them for a very long time. And a lot of things were going wrong in my life. Like, broke up with my girlfriend. What I was earning last year just really started to, like, go down, and everything was just starting to sort of turn into a bit of a shitstorm, really. And I then did another meditation. This was about 8 months after this first one happened. And, like, obviously I meditate twice, 3 times a day, but I hadn't had an experience like this for a while. Had this experience, and these beings came back, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen these guys for a while. And they started putting something back into my stomach. And it took me 2 days to come to realize this and go, oh shit, they took something out and then they put something back. Maybe they took out everything that I had, all the happiness that I had. Like, there was a lot of things. I started eating worse. I really got into bad shape and stuff like that. And I was just, a few things were going on. And I was saying, maybe they took out all the stuff that I accomplished to make me say, do you practice what you preach, Max? Do you do your meditations every day? Do you eat healthy? I wasn't eating healthy, which then I had to get back on course. Do I do my meditation every day without fail? So there's things that I practice. Do I read? I either read or I listen to audiobooks. I learn something new. So when things are tough, do you really practice what you preach? And that's what I learned from that experience, was I do. And when they put stuff back into my stomach, it was just like a calling was, Max is back. Max is back. And when that happened, I was just like, I don't know what is back, but Max is back. It's weird. It's crazy. It's hard to explain. There's a video coming out, I think in 2 days, sort of explaining the whole thing. But yeah, for me, it was really, do practice what you preach. And I feel like that's a very important thing for anyone with what they do. And I do. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I'm confident in my ability, because I do practice what I preach. What I tell people to do, I do myself. So I'm not just telling people, oh yeah, you should meditate because meditation is good. No, I meditate, I get the benefits, and I'm telling you meditation is going to change your life effectively.
Yeah, actually, I love when I heard the saying about it. Actually, preach what you already practice.
True. I like that.
Because, like, practice what you preach. It's like, so you're preaching, but then you're like, okay, well, I should start practicing this. It means you don't have to fully be practicing it, but like, preach what your practices are already today. Like if you were to come watch me for 24 hours, what am I doing with my time? What did I do today? And then preach that. That's already part of the practice, you know?
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
it was a really cool distinction.
No, it's a really powerful one, actually. I like that way of looking at it, because like you said, you're doing it first, then you're preaching about it. So it's a better way of doing it, I think. But what you said about earlier, you said about adding value to people, because some people, like you said, they can't necessarily afford coaching one-to-one with people, which I get. I couldn't years ago. I didn't have the money. I remember I paid someone £1,000 once, and I was like, I can't afford this. I've got no money. I was like, I literally can't afford this. And I had to get my money back because I couldn't afford it. And now, actually, ironically, I'm good friends with the guy that I went to pay with, and we're actually planning on running a retreat in Bali.
Sick.
But because I said to him, I was like, right, can I do some free hypnotherapy with you? And we sometimes help. He does his type of stuff with me. I do my type of stuff with him. We're connected. He's in London, so he's not far from me. And we both said he's moving out to Bali, and we were talking about it, like we should think about doing something together. And that's where you said lead with value is so important. Do you know what I mean? If you can't physically get around these people, then you have to pay for them. If you don't have the money to pay for them, what can you offer them? Not everyone's going to take you up on this. And that's something that, you know, is a distinction. Just because I can make videos doesn't mean someone's going to be like, yeah, of course, Max, come and do that, because they necessarily don't need me or they don't want me, which I understand, which we can understand that not everyone has the time to do that. But there's always someone who will, like you said, with the guy that you're helping out, that's mentoring you in certain ways. It's sort of like a give and take sort of relationship, where you give him stuff, but you also get something from it, which is an exchange. There's got to be some sort of exchange, whether that is money, whether that is you offering something of value. Eventually, there's got to be some sort of exchange. And if you're willing to do something for free for someone, I've always said this, is doing something for free for someone who's in a position that you aren't in right now is always going to serve you. And something from a book, I can't remember what the book was, but it was, if you want to be successful, you should always pay for the successful person's dinner. And it's like, but they've got more money. People would look at it that way, but they've got more money. If we're going financial success, they've got more money, they should pay for the dinner. It's like, no, you want their information. You buy the dinner, they give you the information. They don't have to come for dinner with you. You're doing it because you want the information. So you could always be willing to give value in some sort of way. And there may be people that genuinely do just want to help you. There's going to be people that do just want some sort of exchange. So it's being, I believe, relevant with that and saying, okay, where am I at right now? Can I offer them value? If you can't, then it makes sense to just pay for the services and not sort of muck around with it. And there's been things that I've done that with people in the past. You know what I mean? They've offered me a lot of value, and I've done stuff in return for them for completely free. And same with me. I've offered people a lot of value. Some people, they haven't even returned the favor after I've done stuff for them for free, which don't expect anything in life. You can't expect it. And I've done quite a lot of things and had people literally to the point of, I'd done something for someone who absolutely blew up on Instagram. And this is something that really humbled me, actually. I did something for them. I sort of helped them. I was like, look, I'll share your stuff. I love your stuff. What can I do? Let me give you some tips, whatever. I've been doing this for a while. You're kind of new to it. Now I've got like 500,000 followers on Instagram. They end up unfollowing me. And I was a bit like butthurt. I was a bit butthurt by it. But then I said, don't expect anything from anyone.
Yeah.
Just because you've done something doesn't mean you deserve anything. Yeah. You don't. You know what I mean? Like for example, I could do something for you, Matt, but I don't expect you to return me a favor whatsoever. Even though I would like a favor in return, why I do something, but I don't expect it. And that's a big thing that I want people to understand. Don't expect anything from anyone apart from yourself. If you put the work in, you may fail. Obviously, it's not fail. You're just hitting more road bumps. Eventually, you're going to hit that success, and you only need one success to sort of skyrocket you to where you want to be.
Yep. You only got to be right once. Edison was right once with the light bulb. 10,000 times he got him there, or however many times, but he was right once to nail the light bulb. So you only got to be right once.
Exactly.
Have you heard, or are you aware of the law of compensation?
Yeah, well, that's sort of like what I use in that principle is, when I do something, I don't expect anything, but it's, or law of reciprocity sort of thing as well, like where you do something and something's going to come back. It comes back in different ways. It doesn't necessarily come back from that person, but it's going to come back.
This was a huge transformation in my value adding psychology, because just because the law of compensation says you will be directly, as you give, basically, so you will reap. But just because you add value to this person in front of you doesn't mean you're going to receive behind in that exact person. You may receive down the line someone there. So I had an interesting time in Bali. I had a guy that I was adding value to. At one point, I can still remember this, in the parking lot of a nice Astana. I'll write this down because I've got a feeling you'll love Astana. This beautiful, it's one of my favorite places in Bali. We had a session. It's got like steam room, sauna, infrared, cold plunge over top the cliffs of Uluwatu, great energy, float center, or floating cryotherapy. Like, it's got everything: gym, yoga, qigong, all this stuff.
That sounds amazing.
And I was on just such a value train, because here I am. I am so digitally illiterate. Like, I didn't have Instagram before coming here, and I got these guys are storing, the branding, all this stuff. They're marketing. I didn't know what a ClickFunnels was at that point. I didn't know what a Facebook ad was. I don't have any idea of this terminology. I had no idea. And so I was like, I'm on an uphill battle at this moment, that I need to just add so much value so I can just like let them keep allowing me to be around them. And I can remember in the parking lot of Astana, this guy says, "All right, man, like, what do you want?" And I was like, yeah, well, I don't know. He's like, "No, like, seriously, what do you want?" And I was like, "Well, like, I want to learn how to do this stuff." He's like, "Okay, you cannot keep giving your services for free. You've given way too much value, and I need to give something back to you." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
I'll take it."
Yeah, that's a good idea. I should probably receive. Like, I'm burning the candle at both ends right now, working for you guys on this value thing for free.
Yeah.
But it was at that point. Yeah. But what I've realized now is, like, the law of compensation is I've deposited. So if at any moment, and it'll be interesting to watch this back down the line, if I at this moment want to reach out to any of these people, I will get a reply right away.
Yeah.
If I reach out to them. But you know what? I savor that. I don't just reach out to them for no reason. I don't even, the guy that I'm mentoring with, I am so selective with my time. And if it's not about him and his business, I still am starting out, and this guy's an expert. Like, he's an expert at it. And I still haven't fully asked him a question about what I'm doing.
Wow.
I'm just deductive reasoning through him, because his time is so valuable that it's so incredible. People are paying high ticket to be around him, and only get to be around him between 1 to 2 hours a week in his Q&A.
Wow.
That's as much time they get around him. This guy, anytime I voice note him, instant reply. I get to talk to him. I get to be on the thing with him. I'm still adding value to him, but he's adding value to me by, like, sharing his insights through conversations, by being around him, letting me in his house. I'm wearing his 100K watch, like, around this energy of it. So then I value him so deeply, and his time. I'm so respectful of it, that I have yet to ask him a full-on question that is not about him and his business. So I'd use deductive reasoning to reverse engineer what he's doing, because
100%.
I don't want to taper that relationship. But
that's a powerful thing. It's a
the
really
law of
powerful
compensation, you're not going to receive depending directly on when you give. And so that was a huge distinction for me, because I was going in with intent, expecting an outcome. But now I go in with intent, detached from outcome, because I know, like, I'm not going to receive directly where I give all the time. And that's okay.
Yeah. 100%. That's why, that's sort of the logic I use with YouTube. Yeah. I mean, like we were talking about earlier, the amount of actual videos I've posted over.
Yeah. How many are you at?
Nearly 400. something ridiculous like
Oh,
that.
damn.
Do you know
Wow.
what I mean? And
Wow.
you know how long it takes to edit a YouTube video.
Oh,
It's not just like
yes. That's
a
respect, brother.
second. Um,
That is respect.
and
Wow.
and for me, I've put a lot of effort in. I've tried different things. I've tried spoken word videos, which I did loads of them. I used to write scripts every day to do spoken word videos. I then did just talking to the camera videos. I then, for a period of time, so for the last 30 days, I've done a meditation a day for 30 days, a hypnosis track a day, every day, starting with 3 minutes, all the way up to the last few were 30-minute meditation tracks. So they're not just like quick and easy to put together. I'm literally editing them, finding music, all this stuff. I'm doing a lot of stuff. I've spent loads of money on buying different music, all this kind of stuff. Obviously, when you look back, I had to learn hypnotic language to then put into these tapes. So again, that's another thing. But like I said, I want to lead with value. Like, I'm all for making a lot of money, being hugely financially successful. I'm all for that. And I don't say to anyone, like, don't not go for it. Go for it. You deserve it. If you desire it, you deserve it. But I also like to lead with value. That's why all my YouTube stuff is completely free. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to work with me to get information. But I know that if I add enough value to people, like I've done it, people have added enough value to me. I'm like, I actually want to just pay you. I don't necessarily need to go through what you do. I just want to pay you to go through it just because I feel like I want to. Do you know what I mean? And the biggest lesson I ever learned was in Peru in regards to sales. After doing ayahuasca, I was in Cusco, a little town, and I was with a friend, and he was at the retreat with me. We were just walking around for the day, and this guy came up to me and he was selling paintings on the street. And a lot of people are just like, hey, buy my painting, buy my painting, buy my painting, buy my painting. And it's just like, I was like, no. This guy came up to me, and I've still got this to this day, this necklace. So the necklace is actually my necklace, but it's a little amethyst.
Yeah.
And essentially he was walking around with us. He's like, what are you guys doing here? Blah, blah, talking to us, started chatting. And he said to me, I was like, oh, do you know where I can get like a crystal necklace like made? And he was like, yeah, hold on, come with me. We were talking about what he does, stuff like that, and found this lady who had these little crystals. Then he went to go and find someone else who could put the little housing on it, if you can see that it's in the actual, so that it stays on the necklace. Went to go and find a guy. The guy made it in front of us. This took him probably about an hour. After all of this, he was like, so would you guys want to buy a painting? And I was like, I do. I actually do. He started telling me the price, and I was like, are you joking? That's a lot of money for a painting that's not really worth anything. And I managed to find a reason. It was overpriced at the end. I know I overpaid for it, but I was happy to do it because of how much value he added to me. Even though it's so small, do you know what I mean?
Sure.
He didn't really. All he did was spend time. He probably knows the people, but he did add value to me. He made it easy for me to get this done. He was nice. He was kind. And I think it was like £75 for this painting. It's not worth 75. It's probably worth a tenner, if that. But it's a cool painting. It's in my bedroom. It's like it's Machu Picchu with like a Native American on it. So it looks really cool. It's all in like, it's on like a, I don't know what material it is. It's like this material canvas.
Yeah. I know that.
I'll send you a picture of it. But I felt obliged to do it because of what he gave me. So whenever I work with people, I always say, like, add as much value as humanly possible. That's why I do all my YouTube for free. I don't expect a penny, but one day I know eventually either that's going to pay me with people paying me as clients and people wanting to come to my retreats, YouTube eventually paying me. Like, I've just joined the partner program, and I've made £5 in like 4 days. Do you know what I mean? It's not a lot of money, but it's something. Do you know what I mean? And eventually your hard work will pay off. So yes, be a manifester, start creating, visualizing your future, know your outcomes. And for me, it's one of my, or 5 of my last meditations are all about creating your future, making it so vivid in here that it's inevitable, like I said. And that helps solidify the fact that I'm going to do all these type of things that I'm saying. And I know it's going to happen. Like I said, it is inevitable. But yeah, when you lead with value, eventually you'll get back, and you'll get back tenfold, but it may not happen initially. It may take 5 years to come. Like you said, you're 5 years on your journey. I'm 5 years on my journey. There's things that I've been doing for the past 4 years that you do think, is this actually working? Keep going, because eventually one day, yeah, and that's it. And you just, once you've cracked it, you've got it. And
Yeah, then
now
you're there. Now your paradigm's forever changed.
Exactly. And I feel like that's what separates the people that succeed in anything, is they just keep going for a bit longer. One more day. Every day, just keep saying one more day, 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 because that one day will turn up eventually. It may take 10 years, it may take 5 years, it may take, I don't know how long it's going to take, but it will turn up depending on the effort you put into it.
And so often you heard that story in the Think and Grow Rich, the 3 feet from gold story.
I love that.
So,
I
and
love
like
that.
the priming the pump. It's like so many people give up, and the water was just like right there. And you know, just a couple more pumps, and now forever you can just pump every 15 minutes, and it's there.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people do. They give up too early. And that's really the only failure in my mind, is giving up too early. Like, I've done things where, even recently, my probably biggest thing, I did something with a bank. So a bank, and a guy I know that works at a bank said, would I be able to do stuff with their team and stuff like that? And I did it. And I was like, look, I'll do it for free. If you want to work with me, like, I'll show you how much I charge, and we can do that as a program with all your sort of executives. And I did this, and I noticed what I explained isn't exactly what I gave. And I know that. And I messed up. I did mess up. They never got back to me. And I screwed up with that. And I know I did. Because I said, I was like, right, I want to dive into maybe some hypnosis and breath work and stuff like that to help your people get results. I ended up talking for way too long and didn't give myself enough time. So could I give up and never do that again? Potentially. What my thing was, okay, I don't know if I would want to do corporate stuff. If I got offered the opportunity, I would do it, but I would be more conscious of time next time. I would be more aware of what I'm talking about, how to structure it. And it's a lesson. But if I gave up and said, right, that's it, I'm never going to be a hypnotist again because I failed at that, then of course I'm never going to do anything great in life. And I'm just going to end up living a life I don't want to live. So that's, for me, it's never give up. The only real failure is stopping now, and don't ever stop. Do you know what I mean? It could take you 10 years. Like I said, it doesn't matter how long it takes, because you look at some people who are wildly successful now. Even like Stan Lee is, I love Marvel, absolutely love Marvel. And Stan Lee created the Marvel comic books, I believe he was 49 or 50 or something like that. Like, people moaning that they're 30 years old and they can't do anything. I'm like, yeah, like I'm young, I'm very young, and I'm lucky I found it. But the reason I found it is because I've been through a lot of traumas in my life, and it pushed me to it. It was like, you either go this way or you're probably dead, like, realistically, the way I looked at it. So we go through those things, and then it allows us to sort of just take track of where we're at and just go forward with it. If you're 49 and you're starting for the first time as a digital entrepreneur, so we don't learn to read and write through thinking about it. We learn to read and write through actually learning. Of course, it's a little bit easier for a kid to do it because they don't have these limiting beliefs. But there's still adults that need to learn English because they want to move to England. There's still adults that want to learn Spanish because they want to move to Spain. It's possible. It may be a little bit harder, but I always say, so I've always got a pack of cards with me. The cards you've been dealt are the cards you've been dealt. If we're playing blackjack right now, that's 20. That's a good card. That's a good hand. But if I get an ace and a jack, I've won. That doesn't mean that that's a bad hand. That's just a better hand. And the cards you've been dealt are the cards you've been dealt. That's sort of what I like to explain to people is, you are where you are. Like, don't compare yourself to other people. Don't get me wrong. We live in a world where it's very easy to do that. There's still times where I do that. But I have to check myself and say, yeah, they're doing that, but I'm still me. I'm not them. I'm Max. And I need to learn differently. Like, just because, like I said, I was never a good reader. I prefer audiobooks. So when I read, I'm still not the best reader, but I sort of acknowledge that, and I do what works better for me, audiobooks. It's working out where you are and who you are as a person and going from there, sort of thing.
Man, I echo everything you're saying here, man. It's so good. It's been so great dropping in with you, Max. We're swimming in similar pools, you know. we're definitely. Similar places. So I love where you're going. I've just been appreciating, like, taking in your information and your excitement and your passion and everything that you've been.
Appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, it's nice to be on the receiving end of it too, you know. Like, I just got to sit here and receive you, and it's like really nice. So I appreciate it. So we're coming up towards the end of our podcast here. I do two things at the end with all my guests. Firstly, is there anything on your heart that you haven't expressed today that you feel like you want to express?
Not that I haven't expressed. I feel like I've said a lot of what I would want to say, but just to really pinpoint, like, where you're at right now is where you're at. Just keep going with it. You're going to fall, you're going to stumble constantly through your life. I fall and stumble every day, and that's not going to stop me. And have a strong reason why you're doing something. Do you know what I mean? There's a massive reason why I'm doing it. I want to impact people. I want to be, I've got many reasons. Like, I've got selfish and I've got selfless reasons. I want to be hugely successful. I want to live the greatest life. I want to be famous, but I want to impact a lot of people. I want to help a lot of people. I want to see people transform their lives. I want to help my family. I want to like build charities where I'm able to build like what I believe is a better way of schooling personally, which is through like practical skills that people need in life. That's something that I really want to do in the future. Right now, I don't have the facilities for that. But yeah, biggest thing is just where you're at right now and just keep going, but have a strong reason why you're doing things so that you don't, like, even when the days are tough, you still get back up. And there's a reason why you're getting back up, because the person climbing the mountain is always going to be hungrier than the person standing on top of the mountain. And if you're still climbing every day, you'll always got somewhere to go, versus the person at top that's comfortable has just got something to lose. I mean, I've got nothing to lose. If I lose everything today, it's all right. Well, keep going. And if you invest in yourself, then you could lose everything: people, money, what people see as everything in life. You could lose that, but if you invest in yourself as a person, you can never lose yourself. I mean, I could lose all my money. I could be homeless. I could lose all the people in my life, but the skills that I have today, I'll forever have these for the rest of my life. So if that is finding a coach like Matt, or finding a coach like myself, or a hypnotist or something, whatever it is, find someone that can progress you on your journey, so that if you lost everything, you've still got yourself as like, you are everything at the end of the day.
Yep. Hey, whether I'm in Bali or Switzerland, New Zealand, England, what I've developed inside myself will come with me everywhere I go.
Exactly.
Investing in self is, it is the number for me. It is the investment. It just does. It's so worth it. So I completely agree. So Max, I'm going to ask you serious questions and just answer, what you are. So like, what other than the basic apps like Instagram, YouTube, search engines, what's your favorite app you got on your phone right now?
Favorite app? Oh, I don't know. I'd say, other than the basic search engines, you say?
Yeah.
Ooh. You know what? Actually, it's one of the crypto apps. I love chucking money in and seeing money going up and down. I do. I'm down a lot of money, which is quite a pain, but it's a long term. Again, it's a good investment for me to do, because I'm seeing, can I withstand losing? Like, in like a few days, I lost 15K, and I'm like sitting there like, oh. But if I take it out, I've lost it. I haven't physically lost it. It's just a lower balance.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, but that's actually helping me grow as a person, to not be as attached to money. I'm really not attached. I've said I could lose all that money, all of it. It would be annoying, but it's not the end of the world. And I know that is the truth. I could lose all my Instagram followers. It would be very annoying, because that's how I run my business. But there's other avenues, and that's why I diversify everything I do: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, like all these different platforms, so that if one thing goes, it's like another source of income. It's another source of eyes on me, effectively. But yeah, that's what I'd say is probably my favorite app. I don't really use my phone other than social media, to be honest.
Okay, cool. What's your most gifted book?
Most gifted book? What, that I gift to people?
Yeah.
Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. My favorite ever book.
I don't think I've even heard of that. How have I not heard of that? Breaking a Habit?
Oh my God. Right, I've got it here. This is possibly one of my like the best books I've ever read.
Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. How have I not heard of this one?
I think this is the newest one.
Oh, that's probably why. I'm in like information overload at the moment, so that's probably why it hasn't come in. But
either that, or You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza again. because it really, like you said, you are the placebo makes you realize the power that you have, that you can overcome anything from the power of your mind, and the science behind it as well, which I really do like.
Yeah,
That
that's
it's
cool.
proof and evidence.
Yep.
And then this one is about like lose it. Like it's called How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One. If you want
Wow.
to create anything in your life, because I sort of use a lot of his work actually. If you want to create anything in your life, you must remove something to then put something else in place. So if you feel anxious, you can't just feel confident instead of anxious. You have to remove anxiety and install confidence. And again, it's not just like a snap of the fingers thing, although it can be in certain aspects. But yeah, I love the idea of the book, but there's so much science in it and stuff like that. I really like it.
That's my next book, brother. I
100%.
just finished my last book this weekend, so that's my next book. 100%. That's so good. That's to have science
Love it.
with Joe
Absolutely.
Dispenza, and habit. This is part of like our work too, is helping people with habits. So that is a good one.
Exactly.
So if you could put up a sign in London, and it could be in like in the busiest street in London, and it could have a quote or 2 to 3 sentences, what message would you want people to walk by?
It's my favorite. I actually got this quote tattooed on me. What is truly meant for you will not pass you if you stay on the right path. So I originally heard the quote, what is truly meant for you will not pass you. And I was like, yeah, but not necessarily true. Because if I stayed taking drugs and I stayed in the getting into fights all the time, I wouldn't be on the path I'm on today. So I had to, as long as you stay on the right path, which truly meant for you will not pass you if you stay on the right path. And then also what I said earlier, just as like as like a side thing. I've forgotten it. I literally said it earlier. It's literally how I live my life. It's completely gone from my mind. Oh my God. That's annoying. It's literally how I live my life.
I guess you got to rewrite it now. It'll come back to you.
It's like that quote of like, if it's meant to be, it's down to me, sort of thing. Like, oh no, that's it. Life will go one way, and that's the way that I say what I said earlier.
Gotcha.
Realizing that they work together. They work sort of in coherence, because life will go how you want it to go, but you have to do the work. You can't just expect things to be given to you. You can't just, like Jim Carrey says, manifest $20 million and then go and eat a sandwich. You can't do that. You've got to put the action. You've got to get to work, and you've got to do something that adds value to people, or otherwise it's not going to do anything.
So speaking of habit, what's a new habit you've acquired in the last 6 months that's positively affected your life?
New habit. Going down to the beach every day. Well, as long as it's not pissing with rain. Like just going for a walk.
Once every 4 weeks.
Well, at the minute, even when it's like not great weather, I'll still go down there.
Nice.
But even in the winter, it was cold. I just put a coat on and I would just walk down the beach. I either take the dog, or I do a walking meditation, or I just listen to an audiobook. Just something that I love the sea. And again, like I said at the start, it puts me in the paradigm of being in a tropical place, even though it's not.
Yep.
Bali is the ideal. If I can sit there and I can close my eyes and meditate for a bit and visualize myself on a Balinese beach, then I'm one step closer.
Yep.
And I truly, truly, truly believe in the power of mental rehearsal and really creating it and solidifying it in your mind. The more I do it, the more inevitable it becomes. And like I said, me even doing all this stuff has connected me with you. That when I come out, we're definitely going to connect. Do you know what I mean? Whether we do some stuff together, do you know what I mean? And it's something that happens from a place of being crystal clear on what you want. Yep. And I know I want to come out to Bali. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Exactly what's getting me here today. Same thing with the digital freedom lifestyle. Sitting there, being around them, just acting the part, eventually become the part, and exactly. Just building up the reps, the muscles, and being around them, hearing them talk, seeing them. And it's like, it's becoming a reality, which is like a dream come true, So it's
amazing.
I feel yeah. So keep those beach walks, man, because pretty soon it's not going to be in there anymore. That's when it's
Exactly.
really fun, right? When it's not in there anymore and it's out here.
I always say to people, you've got to be kind of crazy to think that you can even get that. You've got to think I'm not doing it. So of course it's going to be weird to think that you're doing it.
Yeah.
But the more you do it, eventually, like I said, eventually one day it happens, and then your crazy pays off. And I feel like you've got to be a little bit crazy to even think that you can do something so great in the world.
Absolutely. And I think that is a great place to end our first podcast together of, I believe, many content creations. This is so awesome.
Definitely.
Max, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your insights with us and the listeners. And this was another